This is a story which comes originally, it's a folk tale, it comes originally from Wales, but I found it in Alan Garner's book called A Bag Full of Moonshine. All on the golden holiness of a night that never was before, never will come back or be again. All on the golden holiness of a night, old time, there was a lad, and his name was Hewan, and he lived on a little farm with his mother beside a lake. And on that night, he went out and he stood at the lakeside, and he looked out across the water, and there in the moonlight, on the water, combing her shining hair, he saw a girl. He looked at her and he loved her, and so he called out to her, "Come, my lovely, come." She took no notice, so he thought he must have something to give her. He put his hands into his pockets. All he could find were old, dry crusts of bread, but it seemed those were better than nothing. And so he held those out, and he said again, "Oh, come, my lovely, come." And now she did turn towards him. "Dry as your bread," she said, "and that won't win me." She was gone. Hewan went running inside. "Oh, mother," he said, "oh, mother, there on the water, I saw her, and she is so lovely, but she told me my bread is too dry. She will not come to me." "You wait," said his mother. "I'll mix you up a batch of dough. You can take that out tomorrow night." So on the next night, there was Hewan standing at the lake's edge, with a batch of dough in his hand. And there out on the water was the girl, combing her shining hair in the moonlight. And he called out to her again, and he said to her, "Oh, come, my lovely, come." She turned and she looked at him. "Unbaked is your bread," she said, "and that won't win me." And again she was gone. Hewan went running into the house. "Oh, mother," he cried out, "mother, she tells me my bread is unbaked. She will not come to me." "You wait," said his mother. "I will bake you a loaf, and I will bake it now, and then we will see." So it was. Just at the dawning, there was Hewan standing by the lakeside, with a good loaf of bread in his hands. And there was the girl, and he called out to her. And he said to her, "Oh, come, my lovely, come." She looked to him, and she said, "Well baked is your bread, and that shall win me." And she came walking across the water, and she stood in front of him. And she said to him, "Bellamy of the lake shall be your bride. But if ever you should hit me with the bite of touch of iron, I will have to go away." "Hit you?" said Hewan. "Hit you? I wouldn't hit you with anything." And then they began walking, the two of them, towards the little house on the farm. And here is a strange thing. Because out of the water behind Bellamy there came 10 fine cattle, and behind that 4 strong oxen, and behind that a little white bull. A good time came afterwards. The cattle gave milk and butter and cheese such as no one had ever imagined was possible. When those oxen ploughed the fields gave 7 times what they had ever given before. Hewan and Bellamy had 3 sons, one right after the other, and they were handsome, healthy, and happy lads. Hewan thought that he and Bellamy would live like that forever. But one day, as he was looking out, he saw a wild horse running by, and he thought it would be a good thing to have. And so he called to Bellamy, and he said to her that she should go and catch the horse, and he would go to the barn and he would bring a bridle. And she went out, and she went after the horse. And she reached up just with one finger, and she twined it into the horse's mane, and the horse stood still. And Huon came. He came with the bridle, and he threw it, meaning to throw it over the horse's head. But his aim was not true. And the bit struck Bellamy on the hand. "Oh, Huon," she said. "Oh, Huon, my love. That was the bite of touch of iron. You can't leave me," he said to her. "I have to," she answered. And she began to walk towards the lake. And as she went, she began to sing. She used the voice that she used to call in the cattle, but the words were words that Huon had never heard before. "Mollican, Mollican, mailing mare, come you now to my word. Brindled cow, bright speckled, spotted cow, dark freckled, hornless dodded, yellow anvil, and the grey gaining. Come you, and the oxen from the field, and the little white bull from the court of the king, and the small calf that is hanging there, slaughtered, there in the barn. Come you home to my word." And they all began to follow her, the cattle calling and lowing to each other, the oxen pulling the plough so that ever afterwards there was a mark on the land, the white bull grown to full size now, and the small calf that had been hanging there, slaughtered there on the barn. And they all went after her, and she went down to the lake, and she walked out across the water, and the cattle and the oxen and the bull and the calf went after her, and then they were gone. On the last place where she had stepped on the land, there was a footprint. A white lily grew there, and Huon would come and stand by her, and he would call for her to come back to him. She would never come. With the sons, it was different. They went and they stood by the lake of an evening, and they called for her, and she came to them. And she taught them all about herbs and healing, and they grew to be fine doctors in their day. But for Huon, she would not come. She would not come ever. Hard it was for him. That's how it was then, old times.